Hi guys, welcome back to Gold Rush. And honestly, I am really excited for, this new turning leaf of for Gold Rush here because honestly, like the last time when I did Gold Rush, it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to because as yes, I love soccer, I ran out of things to talk about. But now I have a new outlook on things. So let's do it. So for starters, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's my brain here. All right. So for starters, I do want to mention to you guys. I also mentioned it on Reinvented. So I also have one for Gold Rush. You can send your voicemails to us, and we will answer your questions. Pretty much every episode. So you know, I have them. I have both of those like linked in both podcast Instagrams. So stay tuned for those, and also they're just in there in the Instagram bios, and I also link them below in the description as well. Yeah, that's what that's called. Anyway, so for starters, I am going to also put in the mention of this. I'm talking about some soccer news because there has been a lot lately that I have seen and that I kind of wanted to talk about. For starters, you obviously had the U.S. women's national team. They won against China PR both times. The last one being at the last game of the season, um, having been, a comeback win. Awesome. But there's also their preparation into the Olympics. But if you haven't been following or anything, so you would also like at the end of the World Cup, obviously the U.S. women's national team dropped down to three, behind I think Sweden's number one now and Spain's number two, or that it's vice versa. Not 100% sure, but Sweden will not be at the Olympics this coming year. After failing to qualify, and then also um, England will not be at the Olympics either after failing to qualify in the Euros, I believe is what it is in Europe. So for both teams have failed to qualify, they are out of the Olympics. Which for me, I'm gonna say this isn't like offending the American team. Um, which can be a good or a bad thing for the U.S. women's national team because here's the thing. Then for one, they are getting a new head coach. So that in itself can be a little scary. As yes, she did have like input into the games, the China games. It can still be a little bit rocky, just in sense because she's not fully there in coaching. And then also, it could be a good thing though because like a lot of teams obviously you notice like see the U.S. as a powerhouse, especially in women's soccer. But the thing with that could be like teams are catching up, and we saw it at the World Cup where teams are catching up. Um, Obviously, more money is being put into federation, so unlike like America where we've put in money to both federations to like for women and men's in any sport, because obviously in America it isn't just a soccer driven country. It's, a sports driven country. So from like the business standpoint of it, the more money you put into something, the more, resources you're able to get for people, which is pretty nice. But obviously like other countries have started doing that. So now, the world's starting to catch up where they can, get players to more like world class teams and stuff like that. So obviously, with that being said, there are still challenges in there. It is still not going to be an easy route, regardless of what people have to say. Um, But yeah, I thought those were like some big hitters because I think at least for Sweden, I believe it is the first time they're not going to the Olympics. That they have failed to qualify, and because they were the runners up in the last Olympics when they lost to Canada. So yeah, there's that. But anyway, I kind of want to get in the next segment, which is kind of talking about injury because I kind of was listening to a podcast and it made me kind of like think of like concussion protocols and like just injuries in general and like how they can last like long term. Because I was listening to the podcast and obviously when I did like my grassroots coaching, like to get my license, I learned very like you learn that with concussion protocols that you're supposed to do like obviously if someone says they're okay, to keep playing, sometimes they're not because sometimes you want to keep playing, but you also have to realize you have to watch like how they react because like you making that decision like, oh, they say they're fine, are they though? Like, and yes, you do have like delayed like concussion symptoms, which like obviously you want to make that immediate reaction, like your reaction, and be like, okay, you need to come out of the game, or because I was also reading an article with in the last game where Emily Fox she went down with what they said was an injury because she took like a hard hit, but they said that she was down for several minutes, but was able to keep playing. But because then they said she showed delayed concussion symptoms. But to me, that makes me think like that she was showing some sort of symptoms and they just didn't tell her to get off, sub her out. And in which for me, that makes me like wonder, was she like saying, oh, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, and then just me believing her? Now, like, again, like, I didn't watch the game, so I wasn't 100% sure, but, like even now with that, it's just, I don't know. But I was also, like, watching this podcast, as well, and, so, obviously Sam Mewes has had problems with her knee, like, she injured it, I think she said back in 2017, I believe, and they did tell her that her, like, if she was gonna go like really like rough and hard on it, it was gonna cause problems later. And in which she knew that, and then also to given the fact of she just didn't like fully like kind of listen. I feel like to them because she as she doesn't admit, like she's like, I do wish I would have like thought about the workload a little bit and held my load a little bit better. But like for me personally, like I think like if they tell you something like that, like because and I feel like this is with a lot of athletes too, you tend to you're like, okay, but I want to keep playing, and instead of like adjusting your mindset to and you've seen it like in like years, like I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago, watching women's soccer, like these athletes would say like, oh well, I'm fine, like because they wanted to keep playing. But like now it's like I look at it from an injury perspective, like okay, if I need to adjust something, because like I've injured myself before, but I don't want to keep making it worse. So what I do is I tend to like if I need to adjust something, I need to adjust it. And like that's no hate to anyone at all, but sometimes I feel like it's just one of those adjustment things that you have to adjust. But yeah, that was kind of all I want to talk about today was injury. But I do have like more exciting stuff coming. I will say, guys, like I have some few launches I'm still working on. Some soccer stuff I've been working on as well. I am like, really excited, and I can't wait to show this all to you guys. And peace.